Very good morning to you all. In this session, we are going to understand Enlightenment movement and its features in detail. Before I begin this session, I just want to remind you that as the Enlightenment was inspired by the Renaissance, so most of its features are similar to those of the Renaissance. So don't get confused if I repeat some of the features that we learned in the last session. Alright, so on this note, let's begin with this session. See, basically, Enlightenment was an intellectual movement that emerged in Europe during the 17th and 18th centuries. It was the outcome of the radical changes brought about by the Renaissance. If you can recall, in the last session, we learned that Renaissance resulted a radical change in European society. It resulted change in the worldview or the basic ideology, and it gave rise to the intellectual movement in the form of enlightenment during 17th and 18th century. This enlightenment movement had several prominent features or characteristics. So now I am going to explain the features or the main characteristics of enlightenment movement. We will be using these ideas or these characteristics to understand more complex topics that we will take up in the upcoming session. That's why I'm going to explain each of them in detail. Alright, so now I'm going to explain the main features of enlightenment. One can say that one of the most important feature of enlightenment was the emphasis on reason and rationalism. If you can recall, we have learnt about these two features in the last session. See, basically, the emphasis on reason means that human reason should be the ultimate basis to determine what is right and wrong or true or false in society. It also means that human reason should be the ultimate guide to human action. See, basically, Enlightenment thinkers argued that no religious text or authority can be superior to human reason. So, according to Enlightenment thinkers, human logic should be the ultimate basis for their action or behavior. Next, rationalism simply means that humans should use their logic or thinking capacity to make sense of the world in which they live. See, basically, Enlightenment thinkers believed that people have logical or thinking capability. As such, they advocated that people should use their logic and reason to make sense of the world and its various phenomena. If you will observe, you will find that these ideas of reason and rationalism was a radical departure from the traditional belief system which advocated that humans should have blind faith in the religious texts and religious authority. So, the traditional belief system used to advocate that people should blindly accept what is written in religious text or what is said by any traditional authority, and they should not question them. Unlike that, Enlightenment thinkers claim that human reason should be the ultimate basis to determine or make sense of the world in which we live, and we should use our rational or logical capacity to make sense of the world or the phenomena around us. So, as a result of emphasis on reasoning and rationalism by Enlightenment movement, people in Europe started to question church claim and authority. For instance, individuals like Copernicus questioned church claim that earth is at the center of the universe. Similarly, people questioned church claim that earth is flat. As such, one can say, as a result of emphasis on reasoning and rationalism, the traditional religion or church and religious authority lost its control over individual and society in Europe. So, with emphasis on reason and rationalism, the influence of religion diminished over time in European society. So, the first feature of Enlightenment is emphasis on reason and rationalism. Alright, moving on. The next feature of Enlightenment was skepticism. See, basically, skepticism means that humans should not accept any idea, statement, or belief at its face value. Rather, they should question and challenge them. As a result of emphasis on skepticism, people in Europe started to question every aspect of their life, be it family, education, religion, and even the nature of state. For instance, people questioned the monarchical rule in which the ruler is not accountable to the people. We will study in the upcoming session how this gave rise to French Revolution in Europe. So, an element of skepticism got infused in every aspect of life. So, as a result of Enlightenment movement, an element of skepticism got infused in every aspect of European society. People started to question each and every aspect of their life and the society in which they were living. Alright, moving on. The next important feature of the Enlightenment was empiricism. See, we learnt earlier that empiricism means the acquisition of knowledge through direct observation. See, basically, progressive Enlightenment thinkers like Francis Bacon argued that while the world is a complex entity, it is possible to understand its dynamics or principles through direct observation. He also argued that people shouldn't rely on metaphysical or religious explanations, but rather they should learn about natural and social phenomena through systematic method and logical analysis. See, basically, the systematic method involves a series of steps involving collection, classification, and objective analysis of data. So, according to Bacon, people should not rely on metaphysical or religious explanation. Rather, they should systematically and logically analyze any phenomena. Bacon believed that the logical or systematic analysis will reveal the true nature of the phenomena being studied. I will repeat again what I have just explained. See, basically, progressive Enlightenment thinkers like Francis Bacon argued that the world and its phenomena are complex, but it is possible to understand them through logical and systematic analysis. According to him, people should not rely on religious or metaphysical explanation. Rather, they should understand world in a logical manner. He claimed that logical or the systematic analysis will highlight the true principle or the true mechanism behind any phenomena being studied. For instance, going by Bacon's logic, if a geographer want to understand a phenomena like eclipse, then he or she should not rely on religious or supernatural explanation. Instead, they should logically or systematically analyze that phenomena. And according to Bacon, the systematic and logical analysis will highlight the dynamics or the mechanism behind such a complex phenomena like eclipse. So, this is how progressive Enlightenment thinkers like Francis Bacon advocated a systematic or a scientific approach. See, you don't have to worry too much. We will study the various stages of the systematic or the scientific method in detail in Unit 2. There, I will explain in detail how researchers collect, classify, and analyze data in a very systematic and logical manner. So, there this idea will become more clear. For now, just keep in mind that progressive Enlightenment thinkers emphasized upon systematic and methodological analysis, and they believed that it will give a true account of the phenomena being studied. Alright, moving on. The next important feature of enlightenment is critical inquiry. See, basically, the idea of critical inquiry simply means that humans should no longer passively accept any idea, belief, or even social arrangement. So, guided by the notion of critical analysis, individuals in Europe no longer accepted the status quo or the way things were in the society, and they started questioning each and every aspect of their life and their society. In your notes, you will find that one of the important advocates of critical inquiry was Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was a renowned German philosopher, and he argued that enlightenment refers to men's freedom from their ignorance and blind beliefs. He also argued that the human life mission should be to acquire true knowledge about the world in which they are living. So, one can say that critical inquiry was promoted by Enlightenment thinkers. The Enlightenment thinkers advocated that we should not passively accept any idea or any statement. Instead, we should critically analyze it and understand the true meaning or the true nature of our world or the society in which we are living. Alright, moving on. The next important feature of enlightenment is secularism. See, basically, the term secularism simply means that the influence of religious belief or authority declines in everyday life. So, as a result of Enlightenment emphasis on reason, rationalism, and critical inquiry, the importance or hold of religion and religious authority declined in Europe. Aspects of society like social institution or public life was no longer completely shaped by religious values or religious authority like the church. Furthermore, as European society became more scientific and rational, salience of aspects like superstition, dogmas, or reliance on magic also declined in European society. So, we can say that secularism was another important feature of Enlightenment movement. The next important feature of Enlightenment was progressivism. See, basically, the idea of progressivism claims that humans, through the power of reason and rationalism, can achieve unlimited progress. The basic idea behind progressivism is that as human beings acquire more knowledge about the society or the world in which they are living, through logic and rational capacity, their ability to understand and improve their society increases. See, basically, Enlightenment thinkers believed that every successive generation will acquire additional knowledge and make improvements in society, as a result of which human society or civilization will progress in a linear and progressive fashion. I will again explain what I have just said. See, basically, Enlightenment thinkers believed that human beings, through their faculty of reason and rationalism, can collect information about the world in which they are living, and they can use the knowledge or the information to reform or make society a better place. As such, they believed that every successive generation will acquire more knowledge about the world or the society in which they are living, and they will use it to improve upon their society. As such, the society or human civilization will progress or grow in a linear fashion. Every stage will be more progressive than the earlier one. As such, the idea of progressivism is an optimistic idea that human civilization progress in a linear or gradual manner, and it moves from less advanced or less developed stage to a more developed or progressive stage. As a result of this idea of progressivism, we will study later how the very concept of modernity is associated with hope and progress. We will also use this idea of progressivism to understand the debate between modernist and postmodernist in Unit 2. That's why I am explaining each idea or concept in detail, because we will be using them in the upcoming session. So, these are some of the important features of Enlightenment movement. As a result of all of these features, people rejected the status quo and started to question each and every aspect of their life and society. Overall, one can say that the Renaissance and Enlightenment movement laid the foundation for modernity, which emerged in 18th century European society. So, this was all about this topic of enlightenment. In the next session, we will understand the contribution of Renaissance and Enlightenment to the emergence of sociology as a scientific discipline. Alright, so this was all for this session. Go through the class dictation and notes, and if you have any doubt, feel free to ask. On this note, I will wrap up this session and we will meet up again in the next session.